Hello guys and girls. If you are watching this video today, it means that on the most recent on-demand that we completed, it was identified that your biggest area of weakness is idea development. Basically what that means is I was looking for a little bit more detail in your body paragraph, specifically with your E2s. So you may have done a great job of citing evidence, you may have had really good sentence starters and a topic sentence in your body paragraph, but you just didn't quite give me enough information when you were explaining all of your evidence. So, moving forward on Fridays, we are going to start having what I call writers' workshops. And basically what that means is on Fridays, we are going to be practicing writing, but the writing that we're practicing is going to be very focused. And like I've already said, your focus area is going to be idea development. Now, I don't want you to think of this as, Miss Dangerfield is making me do more writing. I know this might be hard to believe, but the school year is very quickly coming to an end, and it won't be so long from now when we are at state testing at the end of the year, and it's going to be your opportunity to show what you've learned this year. And so I want to make sure that we really showcase everything that we've worked on for the entire school year. It's just like if you're an athlete and you go to practice every day, that test that we take at the end of the year is game day. And so we've got to practice and make sure that we are prepared for game day. So that's what these writers' workshops are all about. It's all about preparing you for the game that we're going to participate in when state testing comes around. So on your paper that you have in front of you, and what you can expect to see in the future is a passage. This week our passage is called Should We Bring Back the Woolly Mammoth? And then if you flip your paper over to the back, and I'll scroll down here, you're going to see a prompt, and it's also going to tell you what your assignment is for the day, but I want to hold off on that, and we'll talk about that after we read the article. So I would like you to follow along with me as I read our passage titled Should We Bring Back the Woolly Mammoth? New technology could make it possible to bring back extinct animals. Is that a good idea? By Maggie Pierce. What if you could beam yourself back in time to the year 25,000 BC? You'd get to explore a world very different from the one we live in now. You might see a saber-toothed cat stalking its prey, or a group of animal skin-clad humans huddled around a fire. Or you might come face to face with one of the most majestic creatures ever to lumber across the earth, the woolly mammoth. With their long trunks and sharp curved tusks, woolly mammoths were the kings of the Ice Age. They stood as tall as a basketball hoop and weighed as much as a school bus. The last of these furry giants died out about 4,000 years ago, but traces of them can still be found. Mammoth remains, some remarkably well preserved, have been discovered in Siberia, a cold region in Russia. Now, some scientists are searching for a way to bring these behemoths back. This research has triggered a debate among scientists, animal rights groups, and the public. Is bringing back extinct creatures a good idea? Not if, but when. Bringing back extinct creatures is known as de-extinction. For decades, this idea belonged more in the realm of science fiction than of actual science. But today, advances in technology have made de-extinction less of a question of if than when. Currently, efforts are underway to bring back not only the woolly mammoth, but other extinct species as well. To understand how de-extinction might be possible, you have to start with genes. Genes are the parts of our cells that determine our traits, the color of our hair, the size of our feet, the shape of our noses. All living things have genes. They are what makes a dog's ears pointy and a bird's feathers blue. To bring back the mammoth, researchers at Harvard are studying genes taken from mammoth remains. They are trying to find out which genes gave these creatures the shaggy coats and thick layers of body fat that helped them survive in the icy world. Once scientists identify these and other genes, their plan is to insert them into cells from elephants, the mammoth's closest living relatives. Eventually, these cells would be used to create an embryo. The embryo would be placed in the womb of an elephant, and about 22 months later, a baby, part elephant, part mammoth, would be born. Many questions. Today, thousands of creatures are in danger of becoming extinct, from tigers and gorillas to rhinos and elephants. Scientists estimate that dozens of species disappear every day. It might seem obvious that we should find a way to bring back the animals we lose. Yet de-extinction raises many questions. Which animals should be brought back? Where would they live? What could go wrong? And should humans really be playing God? That is, meddling with nature? For the mammoth, answering those questions is tricky. Mammoth herds probably traveled hundreds of miles a year across the icy grasslands of northern Europe, Asia, and North America. Those habitats no longer exist, and wide open spaces where mammoths could live are increasingly hard to find. Then there are concerns about the quality of life these new creatures would have. They would likely live in captivity. Is it fair to bring an animal into the world to be a research subject, a curiosity basically? And what about the elephant mothers? They would endure the stress of frequent testing during their pregnancy. Plus, elephants form close bonds with their young. If a baby mammoth died or was taken away, that would be tragic for its mother. Scientists are also exploring how a mammoth baby could be grown in a lab so elephants don't have to carry them. Exciting opportunity. So, is it a good idea to bring back woolly mammoths? It would certainly be awe-inspiring and an exciting learning opportunity, a chance to bring the distant past into the present. Still, many wonder why time and money should be spent attempting to bring back a species that disappeared long ago. Would it be better to focus on protecting the animals that are endangered today, most of which are in trouble of human activity? Maybe scientists should focus on inventing time travel instead. That way we could see any extinct creatures we wanted. Stegosaurus, anyone? Okay, now that we've read the passage, the next thing that we're going to have is your directions for the assignment and your prompt. In the future, when you start completing these on your own, it will be set up exactly the same way. The only difference is you'll have a different passage and a different prompt. So let's take a look at what it says. Read the article. We've already done that, so let's move to the next step. Then finish the body paragraph that has been started for you below. So as you can see, I've cut off some of the information here on purpose, but I have started a body paragraph for you. I've given you the very first part of your topic sentence. First, scientists should not bring back extinct animals because. So when you complete writer's workshops in the future, I'll give you the first part of your sentence, and your job is going to be to finish that paragraph. I want to stress this to you. I am not expecting you to write an entire on-demand on a Friday, okay? But what I am going to be looking for is one paragraph, one body paragraph, where you really focus on the elements of what I'm looking for in a body paragraph. So I'm going to scroll down. This is on the lower right-hand corner of your paper. These are the things that I'm going to be looking for. I'm going to make sure that you have a really solid topic sentence. Remember, I'm starting that topic sentence for you, but it's going to be your job to finish it. An E1 and an E2. When I'm looking for your E1, I'm going to be looking for a good sentence starter like the text says. I want to make sure that the evidence that you give me is relevant to your topic sentence. Your E2s, I'm going to be looking for at least 2 sentences in your own words explaining your E1. An internal transition, another E1 and E2, and a concluding sentence. Here's the cool thing about the writer's workshops that we're going to be completing together. If you read your passage, you write your paragraph, you bring it to me, I read it, and I can definitely see that you have included all of these elements and you have done it well, then you are going to be done for the day. So let's say it takes you 15 minutes to write a really good body paragraph. You bring it to me, I look over it, I check it, and I say that you're good to go, and there are still, 15, 20 minutes left in class, then you get 15 or 20 minutes of free time that day. Sounds pretty good, right? But on the other hand, if you bring your paper to me and you have not cited your evidence correctly, or your E2s are only 1 sentence instead of 2 sentences, I'm going to give you your paper back and you're going to have to rewrite that paragraph. One of my life philosophies that I like to live by is not that practice makes perfect, but that perfect practice makes perfect. So what I mean by that is we have to do things the right way when we are practicing them. So, like I said earlier, when we get to game day, we are prepared. Today, I have written your paragraph for you, and all you guys are going to have to do is follow along with me and copy down what I've written on the screen. You're going to copy it on your own paper. If you want to do this on notebook paper, we can staple it together, or you should have some room on the paper that I gave you at the start of class. In the future, obviously, you're going to be doing this on your own, but today I just want to let you know what my expectations are. So let's take a look at the prompt. Bringing back extinct creatures is known as de-extinction. For decades, this idea belonged more in the realm of science fiction than of actual science, but today, advances in technology have made de-extinction less of a question of if than when. Those in favor of de-extinction argue that it would be an exciting opportunity to bring back creatures from the past into the present, while those opposed say nature shouldn't be meddled with in this way. What is your opinion? Write an article to be published in a science magazine stating your opinion on this topic. Should we bring back extinct animals? Use evidence from the provided passage to support your ideas. Again, we are not writing an entire essay. We are only finishing the body paragraph that I have started for you. So here's what we've got so far. First, scientists should not bring back extinct animals because it'll be your responsibility to go back to the text and find something that proves that we should not do this. Again, I've done this for you today. I said because it would cause the animals involved to have a low quality of life. So I have written this topic sentence for you, and that tells me that everything else in this paragraph needs to talk about how the animals would have a low quality of life. That's my topic sentence. Now I'm going to get into my first E1, my first piece of evidence. I put, the text says, then there are concerns about the quality of life these new creatures would have. They would likely live in captivity. Notice I have a good sentence starter, the text says. I have my quotation marks, and I cited this straight from the text. Now I'm going to get into my E2. Remember, my E2s need to be at least 2 sentences long in my own words, where I explain how this evidence proves that this is not a good idea. A great way to start your E2s is with this evidence proves, since we are talking about our evidence. I stated this evidence proves de-extinction of mammoths is harmful because the animals born would spend their lives in a cage. That was something that was talked about quite a bit in the passage. I'm going to go into more detail with my second sentence of my E2. I stated in prehistoric times, these animals would travel hundreds of miles a year, but if recreated, they would be confined to zoos and labs, which would be harmful to them. Remember, we are trying to prove that these animals would have a low quality of life, so my evidence and my explanation supports that. I also want to remind you that you should be copying this on your paper, and obviously this is a video, so feel free to pause at any time to get caught up. After my first E1 and E2, I need a transition word. Here I use the transition word additionally. You could also use furthermore, in addition to. The text states, I have to give another piece of evidence. I've got my quotation marks. And what about elephant mothers? They would endure the stress of frequent testing during their pregnancy. And I have my closing quotation marks. I want to remind you again that when I'm grading your writer's workshops in the future, I'm looking for a good sentence starter, I'm looking for quotation marks, and I'm looking for evidence that is cited directly from the text. Now I'm going to get into my E2 where I explain. This evidence demonstrates that not only would the mammoths created have a low quality of life, but the elephants that birth them as well. There's my first sentence of my E2. Now I have to provide a second sentence. The elephant mothers would be subjected to testing and stress daily, which would be very difficult for them. So again, my E2 is 2 sentences. Now I'm going to close it out with my concluding sentence. Remember, the job of the concluding sentence is to wrap up your thoughts. I stated, is putting innocent animals in harm's way the best choice? You're going to make sure that you have all of this copied down, and while you're doing that, I want to remind you that when you complete the next writer's workshop independently, meaning you do it on your own, this is the expectation. A complete paragraph with a topic sentence, 2 E1s, 2 E2s, and a concluding sentence. Once you have this copied, you are finished with your writer's workshop assignment for today.